Yep, you read that title right. Nikon just announced the official development of the Z9. So I went and ordered the Z6 II, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, Nikon users like myself, that have been on the fence for a very long time. I've been a Nikon shooter since the very beginning, and I guess a better way to explain this, why I've been on the fence, is kind of give you a little roadmap of the bodies that I've been using from Nikon. So in the beginning, I started out with the Nikon D70S. It's a crop sensor, I think 6 megapixels. This is the first camera that I had, and I used that for like 4 or 5 years. And then after that, I upgraded to the D7000, which was a really great camera at the time, and I used that for probably like 3 years. Somewhere along the line in between there, I went and I got the D800. And I got it used because at the time the D810 came out, and I picked up the D800 for a good price. It was my first full frame camera. I think that was in 2014. The year is 2021, and I still use my D800 today. I work a lot with athletes, both on the field and in the studio. So in the studio, the D800 is great. The 36 megapixels comes in, really good when I'm doing a lot of high-end commercial and advertising work. However, when I'm out on the field, I use two D500s. Now, the D500s is crop sensor, but I love them because of the 10 frames per second. And having a crop sensor and shooting sports, I get a little bit more zoom. And with the Nikons, you can even digitally crop on a crop sensor to get even more zoom. So I've been using my D800 and my D500s for, I think, about a total of 3 years or so. When I picked up the D500, about a year after that, the Nikon Mirrorless series were announced. Now, one of the things that kept me from going into the Mirrorless series for a while was just the blackout on the Nikon Z6, the viewfinder blackout. I just felt it wasn't up to the standard I needed it to be to effectively shoot sports. I wanted to pick up the Nikon Mirrorless system and not, be on the back foot or be losing out when compared to my D500. So I had the opportunity to test out the Z6 II, and I like how there is still a blackout on the Z6 II, but it is much more improved over the first version. So then the decision came down to, well, which Z camera am I going to get? Because if you don't know, the Z7 II shoots 10 frames a second. Now there's a little catch with that, is that it shoots 10 frames a second in a single point focus. So that would be a little bit tricky for sports. But I'm thinking the Z7 can be a catch-all to replace both my D800 and my D500 in the interim. The Z7 is a 45 megapixel camera, so it has the resolution. It has the capability of offering a high frame rate. However, I knew at some point I would want a body to just replace my D500 and a body to replace my D800 when I'm in a studio. And when the Z9 was announced, they say it's going to be a stack sensor, and it's going to have the ability to shoot 8K video. Right then and there, I was like, okay, I am going to get the Z6 II. Why? Well, here's the thing. A stack sensor shooting 8K video, it's no secret that Nikon uses Sony sensors in their bodies. And what this is hinting towards, it may be a similar setup and similar specs to the new Sony A1, which has a stack sensor which can shoot in 8K. And one of the requirements to shooting video in 8K is you need to have a minimum of 45 megapixels on the sensor. The Z9 is going to be like their new flagship camera, and Nikon's flagship cameras are usually like the D5s and the D6s. that give you a high frame rate when it comes to shooting stills. And that is something that the Sony A1 offers. Like, it has a high frame rate, 30 frames a second. Great for shooting sports. And then if you take it in a studio, you've got 45 megapixels to work with. That's 9 more megapixels over my D800. So a development announcement, what does that mean? Well, they say it's going to be, it's coming in 2021, fall of 2021. So realistically, it'll get announced then, and by the time it starts shipping and the embargoes are lifted and it gets into a good rhythm of being circulated throughout the different regions, I'm expecting about a year from now. Most people watching this can just walk into their local camera store and pick one up off the shelves. So I'm giving myself about a year. So with that said, the Z9 would be a perfect complement to a Z6 II over a Z7 II, because getting the Z6 II with the 24 megapixels, it's good for sports. It has 14 frames a second. It's, that's good for doing pretty much most sports out there. And then having a Z9 that can be my, it's probably going to be my main camera on the sideline, with the Z2 being the perfect complement and being the perfect backup to the Z9. But then I can also take the Z9 into the studio and shoot my images that require a high resolution, which means for me, I can wait and not get the Z7 II. I can just wait on the Z9 when it comes around, because it serves my purpose in the studio and it will serve my purpose on the sideline. So right now, right here and now, that announcement made me decide in terms of which camera should I get, the Z6 II or the Z7 II. Well, if the Z9 is coming down the road and it's going to be a higher resolution, I can push the Z7 II aside and wait on the Z9. Now, I'm not hating on the Z7 II. It's a great camera. It's wonderful for photographers that don't need the speed that I need. Landscape photographers, just, portrait photographers. Photographers just working in a studio, the Z7 II would be great. It appears that the Z9 is going to be much bigger. So anybody that, prefers a smaller unit would want to look at getting the Z7 II over the Z9. I've got big hands, and even just the smaller, like the Z6s and the Z7s and the Z7 IIs, because they're all the same size. But even just grabbing onto one of those Z mirrorless bodies, my pinky finger is still slipping off the bottom of it. So the Z9 will be a welcome addition to Nikon's lineup. But yeah, so I think of, said a mouthful, but yeah, that's why I put in an order for the Z6 II. I finally made up my mind. That's the camera that I am going to get right now. And it's not really going to replace any of my existing cameras. Like, it's going to work well right now with my D500. And what it's going to allow me to do is send my D800 out for a good sensor cleaning, and probably get the shutter unit on that body swapped out, because it's well over its rating. So I'll hold on to the D800 to do any studio work until the Z9 comes around, hopefully in a year or so. But yeah, I put the order in for the Z6 II. Hopefully it should be here in a couple of days. And if you're watching this video, right now, you stayed with me till the very end. So hopefully you can drop a like down below. Just click the button right there. It helps me, work the algorithm and get this video out to other people that would probably like it as well. So yeah, hit the like button if that works for you. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe as well. I'll have more videos coming out, and videos talking about just my creative process. So if you like that sort of stuff, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you got any questions about the Z6 II, I probably would do an unboxing. There's probably millions of videos out there, but I'm in Canada, and in North America, there's not a lot of Nikon users when you compare it to all the Sony and Canon users out there. At least there's not a lot of Nikon users that are active on YouTube. In real life, yes, I know. I work at a camera store. There are many people that are shooting with Nikon cameras, but it seems like the popular cameras that are getting all the hype is the Sony and the Canon. So this channel will be about Nikon. So if you're curious about what Nikon can do, I mean, Nikon's got a few tricks up their sleeves that not a lot of people don't, probably don't hear about. So yeah, if you want your Nikon information, I'll be the guy for that. Anyways, this video is getting too long right now. Until next time, I would see you in the next video. So stay creative and keep shooting, keep creating.